I can already tell this one is going to have some mixed responses, but we're doing it. Hello, Cozy Gamers, and welcome back to the Cozy Gaming Club, where we talk about all the latest and greatest cozy games. Which is very fitting, as today we are discussing newly released Fields of Mistria and Stardew Valley. For those of you that don't know, Fields of Mistria is a brand new farming game, like it literally released 2 weeks ago, and it's inspired by old school Harvest Moon and Sailor Moon. And Stardew Valley is, well, it's Stardew Valley. I don't think it needs much introduction. But it's also inspired by old school Harvest Moon games and created in a pixel art style, which has led to a few, I think, unjust accusations. So if you are genuinely wondering whether Fields of Mistria is worth investing in, or if it's just another Stardew Valley clone, then buckle up as we go through every aspect of the gameplay and compare them. And yes, Fields of Mistria is an early access game, and it may seem unfair to pit it up against Stardew Valley, which is over 8 years old at this point and has had multiple updates. But as you'll soon see, I think Fields of Mistria can more than hold its own, and will only improve during early access. First, let's start with the pixel art, which I think is probably the main cause of accusations, as I assume some people see pixel art and farming sim and instantly think, this is a Stardew Valley clone. Some things are, of course, going to look similar between the two games, as there are only so many ways you can draw a tomato vine or a carrot when you've got limited pixels. But ignoring that, I think the games look quite different. For pixel art, viewing both games side by side really showcases the key differences between the way both games have used the pixel art style. While Stardew Valley has gone for a more rustic and saturated colour palette, Fields of Mistria has chosen more muted and pastel colours, which definitely makes it a cuter experience just from the appearance. I would say that Stardew Valley has put a lot more detail into its art style as well. For example, the buildings have more weathered effects, and you can even see a sort of wood grain on the outside of your home. The same can be said for other aspects of the game too. Like in Fields of Mistria, we just have a block colour for the ground with a few sprigs of grass to break it up, compared to Stardew Valley where the entire grass has detail. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I find both rather appealing, whether it's the more detailed appearance of Stardew Valley or the softer, more minimalist look of Fields of Mistria. The other art we should talk about is, of course, the character art. In Stardew Valley, we get smaller portraits of the characters showing them from their shoulders up, while in Fields of Mistria, we get portraits from the waist up. The great thing about Fields of Mistria's style of portrait is that characters can be much more expressive by using their hands. And there are some cute animated effects as well, like hearts or flowers appearing around them to signify they are happy. This is similar to the shocked and angry portraits you can get in Stardew Valley. But I will say that one thing I think Fields of Mistria is missing that I did like in Stardew Valley is the character animations. In Stardew Valley, when a character is shocked, they will often react in their pixel art form as well as the character portrait, which I think makes it a lot more realistic. It would be cool to see reactions like that added to Fields of Mistria in the future. One other nice bonus from Fields of Mistria's way of doing character portraits is that you can actually see the outfits the characters are wearing in much more detail. No more guessing what they're wearing from the tiny pixels, now you can see it all. So while both games have chosen to use pixel art as their main art style, they have tried to differentiate it and be unique in their own way. There are so many pixel art games on the market now, and even just looking at pixel art farming games, each one still manages to look unique and different while still using the same art style. I think this leads us quite nicely onto the characters, which is an area I was really looking forward to discussing. The characters in Stardew Valley get a lot of praise, and for a good reason. The romanceable characters especially have great character development that can make you love a character you originally hated. And the heart events are so fun to experience for the first time. In terms of numbers, Stardew Valley has 34 giftable or befriendable characters, while Fields of Mistria has 30 with more to be added in later updates. That's not to mention all the additional characters in Stardew Valley that you can't gift or befriend, like Marlon and Gil, Gunther, and more. Having said that though, two of the characters in Fields of Mistria are animals, the lovely Henrietta and the adorable Dozy. 2 of the characters aren't really befriendable yet due to the early access nature of the game, and 4 of them are only present at the Saturday market. So Stardew Valley has quite a few more, especially at the current point in Mistria's development. But I think both games have a good amount of characters in them. There are enough to keep things interesting without overwhelming you with hundreds of characters to meet and remember. Looking at you, Coral Island. When it comes to the actual character dialogue and relationship building, I am putting my neck out here and saying I think I prefer Fields of Mistria. I know, shocking, but I'm going to tell you why, and there are a lot of reasons. Let's start with the romanceable characters, of which there are 10, with 2 secret characters, which puts us equal with Stardew Valley's 12. Honestly, I think the most shocking thing to me about Fields of Mistria is that I can't choose which person I want to romance. In Stardew Valley, I always go for either Sebastian, Abigail, or Leah. But in Fields of Mistria, all the characters are so friendly and engaging, apart from March. I love all of their personalities, and they're all so attractive as well. I'm sorry, but it's true. Just like Stardew Valley, Fields of Mistria has heart events where you level up your relationship. But the thing I love about Fields of Mistria is that the heart events aren't random occurrences that happen when you're wandering around on the beach on a rainy day. Instead, they're posted as notice board quests or sent as a letter in the mail that you have to respond to. This is great, as I no longer have to take to Google to search for where I need to go at what specific time in order to trigger a heart event. Instead, they'll appear as quests in your quest log so you know exactly what to do to trigger them. However, I will say that it isn't immediately obvious that some of them are heart events. For example, Rias's first heart event is triggered by giving 10 wood to his dad. Also, heart events aren't singular events in Fields of Mistria. Instead, they follow one story over multiple events, which I think is a really cool touch. The other thing worth mentioning when it comes to romance and heart events in Fields of Mistria is that this game is in early access, so not all of the content is there. The relationships are locked at 4 hearts at the moment with no future content available yet, which means that you can't get married or have kids. But the roadmap provided by the developers does indicate that marriage and children will be coming in future updates. All I'm saying is this looks like the perfect spot for a wedding. It will be interesting to see how marriage in Fields of Mistria compares to marriage in Stardew Valley, which at the moment consists of your spouse moving in with you, getting their own dedicated room, and occasionally helping out with chores around the farm. And you can have kids, but they don't really do much. By far, one of the best things about the NPCs in Fields of Mistria is the dialogue, and I think it's even better than Stardew Valley in this regard. For starters, I don't think I've seen any repeated dialogue yet in the entire time I've played, and this is despite being able to talk to the characters multiple times a day. I think the only time I will have seen repeated dialogue is at the Saturday market when they're giving you hints about what tasty treats they like. But even then, I don't recall it. I honestly don't think I've ever played a farming sim with dialogue as dynamic as this. They'll talk about events after they've happened, like the Spring Festival, or if you've donated something new at the museum, they might comment on it. They'll even talk about the heart events that you've had with the other NPCs. Sometimes there'll be 2 characters standing next to each other, and I'll run up to them to do my daily chats, and suddenly I'll be in a conversation with both of them, which is just such a cool addition to the game that really makes it feel alive. Through these cutscenes, you can also learn about how the NPCs feel about each other. There are even times when they'll be arguing or making fun of each other. I am honestly so impressed by the way that dialogue and conversations are handled in Fields of Mistria, but the highlight by far are Friday nights at the pub. Stardew Valley does something similar, where all of your lovely townsfolk gather in a pub on a Friday night, and you can watch Sam and Sebastian play pool while Robin and Demetrius dance in the bar, and Shane drinks alone by the fireplace. It's a great opportunity to say hello to all the NPCs and quickly increase your relationship level with them, without needing to search the entire map. In Fields of Mistria, though, it goes a step further. Instead of talking to each character alone, you talk to groups of characters who are each partaking in different activities. At the bar, you'll usually find Juniper, Varlin, Elsie, Landon, and March sampling wine together. And at the back table, you'll find Nora, Rias, Errol, Hayden, Ulrich, and Terithia playing cards. There's also the front table where Baylor, Adeline, Elin, Celine, and Holt are playing Dungeons and Dragons, or as they call it, Dragons and Drama. Even the youngsters have a group conversation, and you can find them up on a balcony plotting the Dragon Guard heist. The best part is that these conversations develop every week, so you need to go back every Friday to find out what's going to happen. And the topics change every season as well to keep things interesting. Also, the kids. I will say that in Stardew Valley, I just don't care about the kids at all. And maybe that's a me thing. I don't really speak to them or give them gifts, but in Fields of Mistria, they feel so much more developed. In a surprising twist of events, Luke is probably the character I have the most friendship points with. If I have a spare bug, I just give them all to him to make him happy. And even Maple with her queenly desires and Dell with her Dragon Guard schemes have grown on me. The other really cool thing about the NPCs is that they have unique outfits for every season from the get-go. And they've got a unique outfit for the beach in summer as well. I think this is so cool as once again it makes the game feel more real, and while Stardew Valley has added seasonal character outfits with the 1.6 update, I believe that's just for winter. Admittedly, I would imagine that Stardew Valley is a much smaller team, and creating new outfits for every character for every season is a tremendous amount of work, and perhaps not feasibly possible for Concerned Ape and his team. However, I really like that it's something that's been added to Fields of Mistria. Next up, we're talking about the plot. Now, we all know the typical farming sim plot. After a family member dies, you inherit their farm and move to the countryside to revive it, which I think goes way back to the very first Harvest Moon game in 1996. This is a prime example of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Fields of Mistria decided to do something different and shake things up though. After a terrible earthquake ravages the town of Mistria, the leader of the town, Adeline, sends a notice to the Adventurers Guild in the capital, and you're the one who answers the call. So you move to Mistria, and between a town to rebuild, the museum to refill, a haunting voice in the mines, and a mysterious dragon statue, you really have your work cut out for you. But I am getting ahead of myself. When it comes to plot, the two games handle things very differently. Stardew Valley doesn't really have much of a plot, besides the initial introduction to the community centre by Mayor Lewis and visiting the wizard. From that point on, you're left to your own devices to complete the bundles, explore Pelican Town, and pretty much discover everything you need to do in the game. Or if you choose to go the JoJo route, making as much money as possible in order to unlock everything that way. In Fields of Mistria, it's definitely much more organised with many main quests for you to complete to help rebuild the town and learn the different things you can do. The type you prefer will very much come down to the type of person you are, and for me, I prefer Fields of Mistria's way of handling things. I like having multiple quests to complete, and to know what I need to do next in the game in order to proceed. It's just the kind of gameplay that I enjoy. But if you enjoy a more hands-off approach, then having this many quests to complete may be overwhelming for you. So it's definitely down to personal preference. I would also say that Fields of Mistria's plot creates more of a community feeling to the game. It's often highlighted that everyone is pitching in to help rebuild the town, with cute cutscenes that show everyone brainstorming or working together. Whereas in Stardew Valley, it is very much that you, as the farmer, are doing everything yourself. But it is worth noting that the plot in Fields of Mistria isn't finished yet, so the story will stop midway and there won't be a definitive ending until future updates in early access. Alongside the plot focused on rebuilding the town, there's also a secondary plot in Fields of Mistria focused on magic. Now, I imagine, like me, a lot of people were excited for this game because of the magic, and this is something Stardew Valley definitely doesn't have. Apart from the bit where you can turn your children into doves. The magic in Fields of Mistria is a little more innocent than that, but if I'm being honest, I wish there was a little bit more to it. In the current version of the game, and I'm saying this as it could change in early access, you unlock the magic slowly, one spell at a time by progressing through the mines. This means that it can take a while to build up your magical repertoire. Plus, once you have unlocked your magic, there is a limit to how much of it you can use. At the top left of the screen, you'll see a small circle that is filled up 1/4. Every night when you go to sleep, it fills up another quarter until it's completely full. Only then can you cast a spell, and then the circle empties again, essentially meaning you can only cast one spell every 4 days. Also, there are spells that can consume more than one mana circle, so it is easy to use up your mana very quickly. Of course, there are ways to unlock more circles, and there are mana potions in the game as well. But considering magic was a big selling point for this game, I would have liked to be able to use it more often. So far, there are only 3 spells in the game, but I assume more will be added as the development continues. The spells that are currently available are really good though, and if the future spells are just as good, it may be a bit difficult to choose between them all. Slight spoilers here, so skip ahead to the next section if you don't want to know what the spells are. Have you skipped yet? Last chance. Okay, so the first spell you unlock in Fields of Mistria is the Full Restore, which completely refills your stamina bar. This is really helpful, especially in the early game. The second spell is Summon Rain, which creates a storm cloud to water all of your crops. And the third spell is Growth, that fully grows all the crops in a radius around you. This final spell is so good, but costs 2 mana spheres to use, so keep that in mind. But all of the spells are really great and can help significantly with your daily farm life. Since we're talking about magic and the mines, I think this is the perfect time to talk about combat. The combat in Fields of Mistria is quite clunky in comparison to Stardew Valley. There are many times when I will be trying to hit an enemy and my character will suddenly turn the other way, or I'll go all the way through them and miss all my attacks. This can probably be chalked up to early access teething problems and will likely be fixed later in development. Thankfully, the monsters are also a little easier to deal with. In Stardew Valley, there are the slimes, bugs, golems, and other monsters that run or bounce towards the player. While in Fields of Mistria, the monsters are much more forgiving. For example, the slimes will do one large bounce before getting dazed. This is your opportunity to swoop in and get off a few hits before they bounce again. There are also these cool lamp enemies in Fields of Mistria who will chase and electrocute you if they get close enough, but after a while their light flickers out and they run away, which is your opportunity to strike. Many of the enemies are like this, with a built-in opportunity for you to attack to make it a little easier on the player. So if you find the mines in Stardew Valley a little difficult, you may find Fields of Mistria more manageable. It's also worth noting that so far in Fields of Mistria, the only weapon I've found is a sword. I don't think there are other weapons in the game, and I don't know if they're planning to add more in the future. Whereas Stardew Valley has many weapons to choose from. But there are abilities you can unlock using the skill tree in Fields of Mistria to change up the combat, and you can craft armor to increase your defense. You may have already noticed this, but one other small change in Fields of Mistria is that killing an enemy gives you money, as well as a resource. So if you're low on cash, that can help a little bit, although it is a small amount. I would probably describe Stardew Valley's combat as more hack and slash in nature, where you just run in and battle the monsters head on. Whereas in Fields of Mistria, you can take a more pragmatic approach to combat to chip away at an enemy's health. We've also touched upon this a little already, but the next thing I want to discuss are the skill trees in both games. In Stardew Valley, there's a more traditional skill tree where you gain experience in a skill by carrying out the activity multiple times, like farming or fishing. As you level up in a skill, you'll gain proficiency in the tool, which means it'll cost less energy to use in the future. You also unlock skill-specific blueprints, and once you hit level 5 or 10 for every skill, you'll be able to choose from 2 professions, which will provide you with a perk. In Fields of Mistria, you gain experience in a skill by carrying out the activity multiple times, the same as in Stardew Valley. But you'll also collect essence for every activity you carry out, which can be used for unlocking perks for any of the skills. This is great. It means you can really boost a skill that you're perhaps not as good at, or if one skill just has really good perks but is hard to upgrade. At the beginning, you'll be able to unlock 4 perks for farming, archaeology, cooking, ranching, woodcrafting, or blacksmithing from the dragon on your farm. But once you've unlocked the mines, you'll also discover a second dragon that offers perks for combat and mining. You can pick and choose between all of these perks, upgrading whichever one you think is a better fit for your playstyle. And once you reach level 15 in a skill, you'll also unlock even more perks, and again at a later level. I think it's great that in Fields of Mistria you can customize your perks and pick and choose between any of them, and that you aren't locked into a path like you are in Stardew Valley, where your level 10 perks depend on what you chose for level 5. I can't believe we have made it this far into the video without talking about farming. Now, both of these games are farming sims, and they both have quite similar farming and ranching systems. Every season, you can go to the general store and buy seeds that you can plant to grow your crops, which you can then sell for money. I will say that Fields of Mistria's prices do seem a little imbalanced compared to Stardew Valley. 300T for a strawberry seed? Really? But again, it is early access, so this can maybe be forgiven. In Stardew Valley though, your crops can also have a quality score, which isn't something I've seen in Fields of Mistria. This rewards you for taking care of your crops and adding fertilizers, and provides you with a little extra cash for doing so. Another thing that I think Stardew Valley does well in this aspect that Fields of Mistria doesn't, is that Stardew Valley has sprinklers, and you can unlock them quite early on. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I've not seen a sprinkler yet in Fields of Mistria. I don't think they exist in the game, at the moment anyway, which means you are manually watering all of your crops by hand, or spending your slowly earned mana to summon a rain cloud. But at least your watering can never runs out of water. One other thing I want to mention about both games are the tools. The tools in both Fields of Mistria and Stardew Valley take up your inventory space, which may be frustrating for players who are used to the mechanics in Wildflowers, Fae Farm, or Roots of Patcha. In addition to farming, there's also ranching, and both games are better at this in their own way. In Stardew Valley, you can have many animals, including typical farm animals like cows, chickens, sheep, and pigs, as well as unordinary animals like dinosaurs, ostriches, and slimes. All the animals produce items that you can sell for a profit, or you can use some of them to create artisanal goods like mayonnaise. To keep them happy, you need to feed them every day, and you can pet them and let them out into the farmyard to graze. If you have more than one animal in the barn and the barn isn't full, then there's a chance that one of your animals will give birth. Fields of Mistria is similar, but with a few key changes. For starters, the animals you can buy in a game are more normal, for lack of a better word. Just like Stardew Valley, you can raise your own chickens, cows, ducks, and rabbits, but you can also raise capybaras and alpacas. Once again, you can collect produce from them daily, which you can either sell for a profit or use to create artisanal goods. But if you want to breed your animals, you will need to buy heart-shaped treats from Hayden's farm, and feed it to both of the animals you want to breed. But upon breeding 2 animals in Fields of Mistria, you can unlock colour variants, like pink or purple animals, and there are even special seasonal variants. This is so cool, and I have seen so many photos of all the different coloured animals on social media. It's just a nice touch that adds an extra collectible element to the game. And all of the animals can be bred to create different colours, not just your cows and your chickens. So you can have colourful sheep and colourful horses, and maybe even colourful capybaras. My only drawback for ranching in Fields of Mistria is that while you can let your animals out during the day like in Stardew Valley, they don't take themselves back to bed. Which means that when you're racing home at 1 AM to go to bed on time, you have to remember to put the animals to bed too, or they'll be unhappy the next morning and not produce their milk or eggs. I have done this way too many times. Speaking of collectibles, I think it's finally time we talk about bundles in the museum. In lieu of a plot, Stardew Valley has bundles that you can complete to add a bit of direction to your game. These consist of collecting items and resources that you can find around Pelican Town, as well as crops that you can grow or produce from your animals. When it comes to the museum in Stardew Valley, you can donate any of the artifacts you find from exploring the mines, digging up areas around town, and fishing. Over time, you will unlock rewards from both the museum and the bundles that will range from decoration items to big gameplay changes like the mining carts or the desert. In Fields of Mistria, the bundles are incorporated into the museum. Every item you donate is part of a set, and for completing a set you will receive money and a variety of items like new clothes, new decorations, new recipes, and more. I wouldn't say these elements are too different from game to game, although you don't get to choose where you want to place your artifacts in the museum in Fields of Mistria, like you do in Stardew Valley. One of the skills in both games is fishing, and if you've been around here before, then you'll know I love fishing. In games. In Stardew Valley, the fishing game is notorious for being quite difficult, especially when trying to catch some of the legendary fish which seem impossible to catch at times. Well, in Fields of Mistria, the fishing is more similar to Animal Crossing, where you see the shadow of the fish in the water and toss your bobber in front of it to capture their attention. Then they'll go back and forth a few times before an exclamation mark will appear for you to reel them in. Also, in addition to fishing, Fields of Mistria also added bug catching to the game, just like in Animal Crossing. It doesn't make a huge difference to the gameplay, but it's just nice to be able to catch bugs as well if you want to, and it adds even more bundles to complete. One area where Stardew Valley really outshines Fields of Mistria is when it comes to festivals. At the moment, as far as I can tell anyway, Fields of Mistria only has one festival, the Spring Festival, and I wouldn't say it's anything special. The Spring Festival is a small event on the 17th of spring that consists of a couple of stalls to buy items and a competition. In the week leading up to the Spring Festival, you need to collect as many Breath of Springs as you can in order to win the respect of the town. The more you collect, the more items will be available at the stores as well, so you want to be expending all of your energy every day. But that's it? I've played through all of summer and most of autumn, and there aren't any other festivals yet, which is a little sad. The roadmap does mention they're planning to add at least one more festival in the next update though. However, this doesn't really compare at all to Stardew Valley. In spring alone, Stardew Valley has the Egg Festival, the newly added Desert Festival, and the Flower Dance, and in total it's got 12 festivals across the 4 seasons in the game. That is a lot more than Fields of Mistria, and the festivals in Stardew Valley are so diverse and so fun to experience. The last main thing I want to talk about is character customization, and the way this is handled in Fields of Mistria is so impressive. To start with, there are a ton of outfits available from when you first load into the game, and you can quickly unlock more by raising your renown, completing sets at the museum, or buying them at the Saturday market. The thing that really makes the character customization in Fields of Mistria so special is that you can literally change your outfit anywhere you want. You can also create preset outfits that you can quickly switch between. So if you want a different outfit for each season, you can set them all up and quickly change them. Or if you want special outfits for when you go bug catching or mining, you can have them too. The other great thing about outfits in Fields of Mistria is that you don't need to craft them or create them in different colours. Instead, every outfit in every colour is available from the moment you unlock it. Also, they don't take up any space in your inventory, which is another huge win. This is the same for items you unlock for your animals, like the little hats. One final thing I want to mention about the outfits is that there are also cute pride outfits in the game, which is amazing to see. And on that same note, they also have pronoun options in the character customization screen, which is so important for so many people and something that currently isn't available in Stardew Valley. Besides the outfits, Fields of Mistria also has so much decorating for your home right off the bat as well. You can get so creative and make your home look super pretty, which is something I never really bothered with in Stardew Valley, as it takes so long to unlock them or the prettiest items are only available via mods. Those are all of the main areas I wanted to cover, but there are a few more things I wanted to mention. One of the main things I've seen come up a lot is co-op gameplay. As of the 1.6 update, up to 8 players can now play Stardew Valley together while there is no co-op at all in Fields of Mistria. It would be cool if this was added in the future, but there's currently no mention of this in the roadmap. Stardew Valley also has a few more unique secrets and surprises to discover, like the mouse shop, the booksellers, and various new items that came with the 1.6 update. There isn't really anything comparable at the moment in Fields of Mistria, that I've found so far anyway. Fields of Mistria does have jumping, which is such a great addition to the game. Now you can explore the mines and your farm without clearing everything, as well as navigate the map much quicker because you can literally jump off cliffs or over fences instead of needing to walk around. In addition to this, there's also swimming, which makes navigating Mistria even quicker, and dive spots you can explore for fish and artifacts. Everyone in the Stardew Valley community jokes about how Marnie is never at her store, or how it's Wednesday so Pierre's store is shut. Well, in Fields of Mistria, you can shop at the store even if no one is there, and you can visit them really early in the morning or late at night to get what you need as they never close. The same can be said for the museum if you want to sneak in a last-minute donation at 1 AM, but good luck getting to bed for 2. In Fields of Mistria, all the crafting stations are available from the very start of the game at fixed locations around town, and you can craft your items without carrying any of the materials on you. Also, crafting in Fields of Mistria costs time as well as resources, so you can lose hours of your day trying to smelt all your copper ore into bars, rather than just leaving it to smelt in a furnace like in Stardew Valley. When you run out of energy in Fields of Mistria, there are no punishments, and likewise, fainting in the mine or not making it to bed in time doesn't cost you items or money like in Stardew. You've just got less energy for the next day. And finally, if you're looking for a specific person in Fields of Mistria, just check your map. Every villager location is listed there in real time. I have covered a lot in this video, but hopefully it gives you a good overview of how Fields of Mistria and Stardew Valley are similar and how they are different. Compared to Stardew Valley, I think Fields of Mistria is much more accessible to new players and a great introduction to the farming sim genre. There is a lot to do in Stardew Valley, especially with the recent update, and it can be overwhelming for new players. There are many things that aren't really explained in the game, while the tutorials in Fields of Mistria are really great and provide a lot of insight into how to play and what you should be doing next. As I said right back at the start of the video, I think what I've played of Fields of Mistria so far is really good, and I think it has a lot of potential as well, depending on how the developers handle early access. But what do you guys think? Is there anything that I've missed that you think needs to be mentioned? Let us all know in the comments, and as always, thank you so much for watching this video. This was a hefty one, and if you made it this far, I really appreciate you. I hope to see you next time. Bye!